So again, my biggest thing is all of these cats keep wanting to criticize. I'll sit up and criticize anybody that calls themselves a Panther because I've walked that shit. I've been a part of it. I've earned at the very least the right to sit back and say, y'all are fucking up. But if you haven't been boots on the ground, if you haven't put your family and your job and your livelihood to the test on the line, then you need to sit down and shut the fuck up. Go critique, some white organization. Go critique the ACLU. Go talk about Trump or whatever. But leave the party the hell alone if you're not a part of it. Period. I don't care how bad a chapter is fucking up. If they putting on the boots and putting that target on their chest, then you need to leave them fuck alone and let their elders, their fathers and mothers and grandparents, meaning those who have come before and walked that same path, let us deal with that. Because you haven't earned the right to do that. Until you join, until you shut up and put yourself in the same situation, you have no right to speak. Any other.
Becoming conscious is linked to mobilization and organization.
Revolution ain't a riot, it's a realization. Surely. Change or die, ain't no middle ground. Life keep moving, no pause button now. Read plus evolution, I crack the code. Bring growth back, take control of the road. Stagnation, a grave, dreams buried alive.
Like power to people.
Okay, today what we're going to do a critique video. We have a few videos we want to watch, we want to look at, and then we're going to give our ideas, our concepts, our thoughts on these videos. It's something that we don't do a lot of. We usually like to do the study group teaching format, but today we're deciding we're just going to look at a few other videos that we think could be valuable to any revolutionary and give our ideas on these thoughts. So the first video, let me share my screen to get my screen ready.
One death, but people getting shot, shot in the face with these non-lethal, bullets, whatever. People getting blinded. I mean, it's just chaos in Minnesota. And like I said, it's not just the immigrants, it's white Americans getting BTA. And I've been seeing this content circulating about the so-called, new Black Panthers who are supposed to be, headed down to Minnesota, to take part in these protests and stand behind, these protesters and listen, stop the cap. Okay, because this new Black Panther Party, even if it's actually still functioning, is not, it's not the original Black Panthers. The original Black Panthers, were pretty much disbanded in the 80s, mid 80s. They, killed off, incarcerated, targeted by, this government because they were labeled a terrorist organization. But lo and behold, the actual real terrorist is ICE. And like I said, they got a lot of these white nationalists and these Proud Boys, the New Frontier, and these white hate groups. From what I understand, they are mostly employed by ICE. So they doing exactly what they love doing. BTA to people of color. But like I said, these white people that are white Americans, standing up for their, constitutional rights to protest peacefully, although I see a lot of people antagonizing the situation. I don't know what y'all think y'all proving. You know what I'm saying? Because they are going to do what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not, first of all, I'm not saying all these protesters, I mean, I don't know if y'all Democrats, Republicans, left, right, whatever. But this was voted into, you know what I'm saying? This is what America voted for. So, it ain't pretty though. You know what I'm saying? Y'all thought it was just gonna be them peacefully, like the Native American tribes when they were marching along on the Trail of Tears. You know what I'm saying? Just peacefully, being shipped out of here, but that ain't the case. So ICE is going through there. I mean, they basically, Nazi Gestapos, and this is an ethnic cleansing. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on. But as far as the Black Panthers, like I said, these new Black Panthers are black nationalists from what I understand. Like Africanism. They are so far disconnected from the original Black Panthers, they can't even really be called Black Panthers. They basically just hijack the Black Panthers, there ain't no Black Panthers coming out there. Not Black Panthers, not Pink Panthers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are on your own with this one. While people are gaslighting on the internet, in social media, in the news, I see fake Black Panthers, you know what I'm saying, cosplaying, I don't know what y'all think y'all trying to do. Get black folks out there. That's what I believe. Because ultimately, this is just, I believe what the people who voted this administration into office, what they really got a hard on for, excuse my vernacular, but it's to see black folks getting knocked over the head and possibly, best case scenario, us getting shipped up out of here. FBAs, but, so they have to suffice. They got to settle for, what I'm saying, for the immigrants, I guess. But you left wingers, if that's what these could be just, just regular white Americans. You know what I'm saying? And although I've seen some black people out there too in Minnesota, because from what I understand, they are in black communities too. You know what I'm saying? And they aren't out in the white suburbs, They are in the black communities because that's where these immigrants most often, are in close proximity to blacks. You know what I'm saying? So we become collateral damage if you caught up in the, you know what I'm saying? So, but for the most part, it's white Americans out there, some Latinos, and I see commentary online where we would, white folks saying, we would love to have the Black Panthers, an organization like the Black Panthers, out here standing beside us. You know what I'm saying? Them original Black Panthers, they handle business. But see, the reason that organization formed was out of necessity. Because black communities were often being targeted, not just by police, but by the Klan and other white racist organizations. You know what I'm saying? And the gangs. So it was, self-preservation. And they stood on business. Wasn't afraid, understood the law, were educated in the law. So they knew they could be down there armed. And the police didn't want nothing to do with them. Couldn't do nothing with them. And let alone these so-called, white nationalists or, these, hate groups. But like I said, the Black Panthers, just because they hated the fact that they showed no fear and they stood on business to protect the black communities, did everything they could to destroy them. FBA surveilling them constantly, throwing fake cases on them, and you know what it is. So, but they stood on business, you know what I'm saying? And, but I'm sorry to tell y'all, and I don't believe these so-called new Black Panthers, they not gonna be out there either, because they some watered down version of the real Black Panthers. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man, and I don't want to sound, hateful or like I'm up here trolling. This is real. Y'all are on your own with this shit. White folks created this mess. You know what I'm saying? White America created this shit that's going on. But like I said, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to call it, karma, whatever. It's cause and effect, basically. Y'all voted in this administration. Y'all was standing behind, this whole re-immigration, ethnic cleansing, whatever you want to call it. This is what y'all wanted, So, I'm kind of confused, man. You know, y'all.
Right there, because pretty much he didn't say everything he needed to say. Everything else, he's pretty much gonna just pretty much repeating the exact same thing. So, yeah, I see that. Who going first? Let's give our reaction on this video. And I think he said a few things, and there's a few things to unpack. War.
I don't even know where to start because he kind of just bouncing around over a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he confused his head. What the hell is this dude talking about exactly?
Yeah.
See, that's what you get the sense of the internet from is dumb motherfuckers with an uneducated opinion just talking, just rambling, just making accusations, while cats who at the very least are willing to go and stand out and if they're faking it, fine, they're faking it or whatever, but posing some type of a response while he's sitting up there with a white boy polo on his chest. These other cats got, a target on their chest. Another one of these armchair quarterback motherfuckers want to critique somebody. If the new Black Panther Party is failing, it's your fault because you ain't joined to try to make it the organization you think it should be. So shut the fuck up. You have no right to an opinion. You ain't studied shit because you keep calling Huey and them the original party, which if you read a book, you know that they weren't. And the reality of it is Huey and them probably wouldn't have fucked with a dumbass like this dude. Because again, he's uneducated as fuck. Has no idea what the NRA's role has been, what white militia's role is. Doesn't realize that a whole bunch of these ICE motherfuckers sitting out there are part of the white militias. They're doing exactly what it is they're supposed to be doing. So what the fuck are you talking? Is this dude trying to critique the party, or is he trying to warn white America that black folks ain't coming to save you this time? What is the fucking point, dude? Pick a direction and run. Do something and quit wandering around in a big ass circle and wasting people's time. That's what needs to be off the internet. I feel like that's 15 minutes of my life I'm never gonna get back. Waste your damn time.
All right, well, that's who needed to start right there. I want to add this to it real quick before you come in, War, before I forget it, because he talked about the NRA in the perfect time. I think one of the things that's important is the NRA supported the Morford Act. When so you can't expect the NRA to save anybody. And like he said, maybe he hadn't read a book. So let me tell you what the Morford Act was. It's the act that they supported in California to basically to disarm the Black Panthers. So the NRA, people that's fighting for gun rights in America, supported a legal act that stripped citizens of their gun rights in California when we started applying them. It was all good until black people decided to apply those laws to defend themselves in their own communities. The NRA supported that Morford Act, so we can't expect the NRA to do anything other than support the government. Go ahead, Walt.
Oh, and just so people know, Black Panther Party in for self-defense in California started in 1966. The Morford Act came out in 1967. They got busy real quick and shut that shit down.
Yeah.
And like you said, so, and I also want to say there's a misidentification because at one point the dude he's talking about is named Paul Songbird out of Philly. That guy, I think on a video stated they are the new Black Panthers, but he was referring to saying that they're the Black Panthers, but they're the new ones as in this modern generation, which ended up getting confused with the organization New Black Panther Party. So he's not a member of the N.B.P.P. He's basically just saying that we are the new Black Panther Party cats. In other words, just saying the newer generation, and that ended up getting misquoted and ran with all over the internet to where people, members of other New Black Panther Party, are up in arms because they're being identified under this dude, and that's a misrepresentation because of social media. But at the same time, another thing to recognize on that video, and he already really pretty much dived into it with the dude not knowing what he's talking about. But I don't think the premise is actually being that the Black Panther parties or someone acting like the Black Panther parties are going to save white America. I think that's a misunderstanding of what the message is supposed to be. What the message is supposed to be is that people, period, that are getting attacked need to realize that whether it's white now or Mexicans then, the way things going, they coming out to everybody. Everybody is on the table. And I believe that is really the essence of the message that it's about. It ain't about black folks going out and saving white America. In fact, what you see is white folks up in arms. I do agree with what he said about what they're experiencing is a taste of what we've dealt with, which is why you have a lot of white people now wanting to support the Black Panther Party and other organizations that are doing the work in the community, because now all of a sudden they're seeing like I said, a taste of what we've been going through as black people. And so more people are being activated, just like how it was during COVID. Folks and I shit better to do with their time, so they did some folks did a little bit of studying, still a little bit of protesting, and more people learned a little bit about their history as a result of the situation. And you're seeing the same thing now, but it is one of them situations to where predominantly a situation is created by what people call white supremacy, but it's white folks trying to be in charge. And from that standpoint, these kind of things are going to happen. The empire is collapsing on itself because it's trying to consolidate its power in the Western Hemisphere, and the whole move with ICE and Border Patrol and Trump increasing their budget to $30 billion, larger than most militaries around the world. It's just going to be the order of the day. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, black folks, whether we want to be a part of this or not, this is beyond us.
And I would take issue with that. White folk didn't create this on their own. White folk played their part, just like black folk have played their part. It's the shit Malcolm used to talk about. Yeah, Malcolm used to chastise us because we keep telling white folks it's all good. We just want to get along. Want. So we played into that bullshit and played our part in lulling them to sleep. Had we stood our ground and said, yo, no. Had we done the whole Panther thing and pushed back, had we done the AARP thing and pushed back and organized in an organized fashion, a lot of this shit wouldn't be going on. But the reality of it is, it ain't just them. It's cats like this that sit up and want to sit back and critique those who are out there attempting to do something rather than getting on board. And we're on our own. And that's the problem. We need to not be on our own. And I don't care if he was talking about white folks on their own, black folks on their own, whatever it is, that's a part of the issue. So again, my biggest thing is all of these cats keep wanting to criticize. I'll sit up and criticize anybody that calls themselves a Panther because I've walked that shit. I've been a part of it. I've earned at the very least the right to sit back and say, y'all are fucking up. But if you haven't been boots on the ground, if you haven't put your family and your job and your livelihood to the test on the line, then you need to sit down and shut the fuck up. Go critique, some white organization. Go critique the ACLU. Go talk about Trump or whatever. But leave the party the hell alone if you're not a part of it. Period. I don't care how bad a chapter is fucking up. If they putting on the boots and putting that target on their chest, then you need to leave them fuck alone and let their elders, their fathers and mothers and grandparents, meaning those who have come before and walked that same path, let us deal with that, because you haven't earned the right to do that. Until you join, until you shut up and put yourself in the same situation, you have no right to speak. Any other situation, I can't dog anybody out for whatever they do in the military because I've not been in the military. So if you haven't been there, you have no right. Just everybody don't need to have an opinion because your opinion ain't valuable like that.
And see what he's speaking on is the fact that what has happened with social media, which wasn't around when we in our heyday, is giving everybody the platform to be a voice. Unfortunately, And so we are suffering in this modern day time to where people can watch something, a 15-second clip, and feel like they're an expert and can cross analyze an entire movement, an entire operation, which is false. But that's even go speak on how Sykes started off saying E is the minister of misinformation, because he exposing the misinformed people and population. Yeah, it just because you have the ability through this modern day technology to say something, don't mean you deserve to say something at all. And I think that's one of the greatest issues with social media right now, is it has given people a voice who ain't damn near by no capacity has earned the right to critique, criticize, or engage in anything that's being said. And so people blow up because they will sit there and make a statement, and it gets passed on and passed on and passed on. And this has happened.
The only other thing that he kept stressing, he says that there are no Black Panthers. Black Panthers doesn't exist anymore. That they was eliminated in the 80s, and everybody, basically the people now playing cosplay. That's what he essentially said. So when we was walking through Jasper in our black uniforms with scopes on us, and the possibility we could have been killed, we could have been unalived out there, supporting the death of well, not supporting his death, but supporting the community after the death of James Byrd. We was playing cosplay. We was dressing up. You know, according to this guy, we was dressing up, and as E said, and we've done many videos on this. And there are other brothers, Yang and Crewman, other brothers that have done their own videos on this. If you really want a history of the party, that when E said that the Black Panther concept did not start with Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. The most popular version of the Black Panther concept started with Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in 1966. But the ideals and the concepts that they built on came from people that started way before they did. Stokely Carmichael, who is one of the first, correct me if I'm wrong, either one of y'all, is one of the first people to use the Panther logo, the Panther symbol for the Lowndes County Freedom Organization. The Deacons of Defense is one of the first groups that marched with the guns, you know, and the new Black Panther Party started in Dallas, Texas, under Aaron Michaels and David Foreman, who originally started as the Brothers in Black. And they reached out to Elder Panthers, people like Deruba, who assisted and gave guidance with the formation and with the motions that we was going in. We've had Deruba on the show himself. For some reason, people want to tie the Panther legacy to those people, to the very first people that marched in that black uniform. And to me, what you're doing is you're destroying the legacy, because those people can only live so long. So you're telling me when those people die, that the Panther and everything about the Panther has to die. The whole concept of having continuity or having a legacy is for this thing to keep going. The first people that did hip hop is not the same people that are doing hip hop right now. The first people that marched and that stood up for Crips or Bloods or any other group or organization, the very first people that established this society as the United States of America are not the same people that are running the United States of America right now. Those people are dead and they've been gone. So it's almost like these people want to limit a legacy to some people that created that legacy from the first people that marched in that Nation of Islam legacy is not the exact same people that's doing it now. These people are constantly evolving and they're keeping that legacy alive. Why can't the Panther have a legacy? That's what I'm not understanding when they start talking about the real Panthers and things of this nature. I'm not getting that. I'm not understanding where that is coming from.
And
That's that individual minded nonsense. Think about it. An individual stands alone, disconnected, not attached to anything. That's an individual. Legacy, the entire concept of legacy is connection. Is it being passed down? You can't connect something that stands on its own. And that's just more of that bullshit. People don't understand the words that they're using, but they keep wanting to talk. If you don't know what it is you're saying, shut up. Read a book. Who is Deruba Ben Wahad? Who is that? Because I know he don't know. So just because you mentioned how Aaron and them were under the tutelage of this cat, But people are like, so that's just the name. Tie him back to the original. Who was Daruba? Well, I know you know y'all were buddies.
Well, I can get y'all one better than that. Mikasa Ricks, who also referred to as Willie Ricks, who's the one that was credited with coining the phrase Black Power, has supported the new Black Panther Party. You know, and continue to work with certain, you know, but certain chapters of the new Black Panther Party in its days, in the beginning days. So, and we've also had elders that were part of the third development, that formed with Huey P. Newton. They were also members of the new Black Panther Party. So it's not only were the new Black Panther Party operating under the guidance initially of elders, but elders also came out, you know, and ended up that had, you know, not been active in decades, saw the new Black Panther Party and also jumped aboard and started working with it. So it's just one of those things, again, where people are misinformed because they're utilizing 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or maybe a few minutes of snippets that they scroll and get off of social media, as opposed to actually doing some reading and studying. And they run with that because people have been given a voice and a platform. And because of that, everybody is an expert. And this is just the fallout of that nonsense that continues to happen. And that train is just way off the rails. But that's everywhere.
All right.
Social media revolutionary motherfucker.
All right, I got another video for us to check out. Let me start this one up. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
So,
this video with me of this.
He said he couldn't see it.
I can see it.
Okay.
So-called Black Panther out there. I think he's in the Philadelphia area. There was this video, and shout out to Sister Demetra for sharing this video with me, of this so-called Black Panther out there. I think he's in the Philadelphia area. And when I heard this video and heard exactly the wording this man was saying, something just went off in my spirit about this. And I want y'all to hear exactly what this guy is saying. I want y'all to hear this word for word. I want you to look at him too at the same time. I want you to look at him. And we got a lot of questions about this gentleman here, this so-called Black Panther. So let's go ahead on and check this out.
No ICE agent ever run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's going to happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think you're about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here, come around and find out. Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable. We hold them accountable. We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day, but we're a little more aggressive now, you dig? Carry bigger guns and we don't take no shit. Places where there are a lot of immigrants at, I think that the community around them needs to take special care to them and needs to start escorting them to and from everywhere to make sure that they're safe. Because them ICE agents ain't gonna act like that if it's a bunch of people standing outside with assault rifles and shotguns. It's a semi-automatic shotgun. That means them shotgun shells that shoot out of a pump, they shoot them rapidly. If you are gonna legally arm yourself with something bigger than what they got. Those who serve in the public, they should be fearful of the public. They should be fearful that the public's going to be dissatisfied with their job that they're doing, not feeling like they're tyrants, not feeling like they're bullies because they got guns and body armor and walkie-talkies. That makes them immune to whatever the people would do. I think you want to correct the ideology of the pig and the mentality of the slave catcher, you meet them with equal force. All power to the people. No power to the pig.
The first time I watched this video, I like, first of all, who is this guy? Number one. Number two, in my spirit, I didn't feel like, yeah, man, that brother, you know, he really speaking about this, or he really standing on business. I didn't get none of that from him. You know what I was getting from him? William O'Neal vibes. If you remember, William O'Neal is the guy that was sent in to the Black Panther Party to help set up the assassination of Fred Hampton. That's what I get from this guy. Because I don't feel any of that he said is genuine. Because, listen, when we speak as Black Americans, it's not what we're saying. It actually touches a person. And it definitely connects with us. And if the words sound empty, it has no really meaning to it, it's something up with that. Number two, as Black Americans, we don't go make threats like that to the government. We don't do that because we know better. We know there's other ways to handle it, but we don't do it in that manner. He's sitting here talking about what he gonna do to an ICE agent. So he literally made a threat on video and they didn't go gaffle him up for doing it at that time period. It's on video. So why is he making threats? What he gonna do? Or allegedly he ain't gonna do nothing. We know he's not gonna do nothing, but we don't move like that as Black Americans. We just know the tactics, how to move and what not to move. And for sure we don't make threats, okay, against any kind of law enforcement in this country. And he's holding a gun in his hand and while saying it. You just looking for a case. You begging for a case. So that's why I say, whose man is that? Where he come from? Then the first time I looked at him, like, what is he? Is he Latino? Is he what is he? I mean, I don't know. Like, what is the guy? It's hard for me to even look at that too. I'm like I said, I'm just asking questions, y'all. It's okay to ask questions because that's not how we move. That's not how the grassroots talk. When the grassroots got things done, they wasn't speaking like him. We know better. Minister Farrakhan, he stands on business. He always have. The Nation of Islam always have stood on business. And they have never said anything like that. You look at every group that we've ever had that's actually doing something, even during the time of Fred Hampton. William O'Neill was talking like that. Fred Hampton wasn't talking like that. Fred Hampton was doing good for the people. He was out feeding people, getting clinics done, school. That's what he was focusing on. Now, he was trying to unify all these other groups, which I feel Fred Hampton, that was, I think it's one flaw, in my opinion, with Fred Hampton. But he was young, though. I mean, he didn't get a chance to even see what works and what don't work. You understand what I'm saying? But William O'Neill was talking all that, oh, yeah, we're going to do this to them and that to them. And then the whole time he's sitting up there an informant. We got to watch out for people like this guy right here. First of all, we know something off with him because Black America is resting. Black America is standing down. We're not getting involved with anything. So yet he jumps out there and say what he gonna do. Like, bro, who are you? Because the majority of the community is not even rocking with you. We know better. So who sent you? Who sent you out there? Who you supposed to? Because you're definitely not my representative. I don't know you. Nobody I know so far know you. So you're not representing Black America at all. That fool don't represent us at all. He out there doing whatever he doing. Like I say, it sound agent-like. And I'd rather use that term agent. But in that guy's situation and how he's talking, oh, that sound like that to me. That definitely sound like that. Like I said, it sound like it. Not saying you are, but it sounds like it. Because anybody got half a brain know that you can't make threats against law enforcement. And you made it on camera that's posted before the world. That's an easy slam dunk case for a prosecutor. Easy. And you made threats against federal law enforcement. So that means a Fed case could get put on you, sir. And you made the threat holding a firearm, which is a case. You just like set yourself up for a case. So if you're not working with the folks, you're surely gonna go to jail when they find this out. Or if something happened to an ICE agent in that area, they're gonna say you incited it because basically what you said on camera, sir, and that's what it's gonna be. So if you're not working with them folks, you're setting yourself up for a case. And everybody on the grassroots know you don't do no stupidity like that. When you know you're not gonna bust a grape, you're not busting a grape even in the Black community. You're not going to patrol the black community where some of the criminals are at. You're not getting the gangs off the streets and say, hey, y'all not going to be on these streets with no drugs. Y'all not going to be out here shooting each other. Oh, no. Go in the house. Go get you a job. This is over. Y'all not doing that. So every time people like you want to come out with a protest going on, but you're not in the neighborhood patrolling the neighborhood. That's the kind of things that I'm looking at with this situation. But like I said, I don't know who this dude is, y'all. I don't know and don't care to know who he is personally. But what I'm saying is, he sounds like William O'Neal to me. He sound. Listen to me very carefully. I didn't say you are. I said you sound. Words are very important. And I'm using certain words for a reason. When someone sounds like William O'Neal, I pause, I listen intently, and I say, who is that? Because this is not how we move as black Americans, FBA. We don't move like that, bro. We don't. We not even, none of us even talking this way. We chilling. You know what we saying? Hey, man, they got some good playoff games coming up this weekend. That's what we talking about right now. What we talking about right now? Self-care. What we talking about? Relaxing, vacation. You know, hey, we got Martin Luther King coming up. Hey, you got Martin Luther King parade going on in your city. We talking about things like that. We're not worrying about any of this. We are so detached from America and their problems right now. We're not even thinking about anything. So we know something's off with you. Just on that alone. People are begging black America to get involved. And we're like, no, we good. No, we got the weekend coming up. Now we're going to have a cookout at the crib. We're going to invite people, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to put on some music and get with family and friends, just have a good time, man. We're not worrying about anything. We are chilling. That's what we doing. So yeah, whose man is that? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know who he is, but he don't represent black America. Wherever he come from, he need to take it back to where because I don't know. Like I said, this dude is totally off code. That's not how black America speak about any issues in this nation. So I'm definitely saying that up front. That guy has nothing to do with us.
Say, man. Hey, man. Hey, why y'all keep wasting my time with these coon ass niggas? I hate it when a coon ass nigga make a point. He's got some valid points on the things the brother was saying, but this motherfucker, in fact, his greatest point is, as black Americans, that should tell you everything you need to know right there. We sitting there talking about the football game. We talking about MLK having a barbecue. Wah. Yeah, nigga, that's the fucking problem. Number one. Number two, I know more about this cat because I've seen him when he's on our IG thing. So I know absolutely this dude is walking through neighborhoods with his shit, doing what it is, police patrols and all that. I know the cat's doing that. I don't necessarily agree with some of the things the brother said when he was on camera and whatnot. But to sit up and say black Americans, that red flag, ain't thinking about this. It ain't got nothing to do with us, blah, blah, blah. This motherfucker, I've seen this dude, and he makes some points on some other issues here and there, but on this particular point, this nigga is representing coonology at its finest. This nigga here is trying to maintain his bank account and stay safe. FBA be damned, that's part of the problem. Yes, and apparently this dude has never talked to anybody in the hood because I've known plenty of cats in the hood that talk just like that. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And when he tries to show up, apparently this motherfucker has never heard of Khalid Muhammad when he says that we don't go around making threats and saying da-da-da-da-da-da. Nigga, where the fuck have you been? Where the fuck were you? I stood next to Khalid when he was saying shit like that. And yes, the nation says shit just like that too. Apparently you've only seen the clips on Nightline and shit when Mr. Farrakhan was talking to a mixed audience. Go to Save His Day. Go to one of the mosques and listen to the conversations and the sermons and whatnot that they have in there. And it ain't nothing out of line other than putting your business on the street a little bit too much. It ain't nothing out of line with his attitude and his approach and his mentality in regards to what's going on in the community. So yes, another coon making points that he doesn't even realize he's making. If that motherfucker resonate, if your spirit tells you that that motherfucker is resonating with you with the shit that he said, you're not about the people. You about maintaining your status as black Americans and doing what you've done, which hasn't fucking worked, again, and he ain't studied shit. Number one, he either ain't studied shit since he want to give lists. Number one, either you ain't studied shit, or number two, you're Ron O'Neal. You setting up the entire black community and helping us stay asleep. These motherfuckers are just full of shit, man. That dude is nowhere close to a revolutionary. So again, having not walked in the steps, having not presented himself in any sense as having a revolutionary-minded ideology, this cat ain't got no business speaking about nobody in the party. He has no idea what he said himself. I don't know this guy. Then turned around and said he ain't in the black community doing blah, blah, blah. Which is it, you two-faced motherfucker? Which one is it? Either you don't know this dude or you know for a fact he's not doing shit in the community. So stay the fuck off of this subject and go back to critiquing black America. That's what he needs to do. I get so tired of motherfuckers running their chops. Ah, damn.
And ironically, and I don't know the brother either, but he did say some things that sound Huey-esque to me. You know, if you've studied read any kind of Huey, the brother was saying some, and I agree. Yes, no representative of a different army gets before the entire nation and talks battle strategy before the nation, no doubt. But you know, we militants, we had a tendency, to get out there a little bit. And like you just said, we've seen Khaled do it, we've seen Malcolm do it, we've seen Huey do it, but question. Here's a quick question. This is just one of those because there's no way to possibly know. But I'm just ask one of those "What would Jesus do?" questions. Since everybody likes to praise the 1966 Black Panthers for self-defense from Oakland, California, in this same type of situation, what would you think Huey and Bobby would do in this particular situation where you have ICE running down on people of color in the way they're doing? What would you think would be the response from somebody like Huey? Because I can't lie to brother, when I watched that last video, the brother did sound like Huey to me to a degree. He did have some, you could tell he studied some Huey.
I feel that Huey would be in defense of the community coming out against ICE and dealing with it by whatever means necessary. But it depends on what time period we're talking about between Huey and the Third Development Black Panther Party. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they study or get stuck on certain phases of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. The thing about that is, and we've seen situations, especially video footage, where Huey has allowed the camera being in front of his mic to say things that he probably shouldn't have said. But there's plenty more times where he said things that was right on point. And so I think what we're dealing with somebody that got caught up in sensationalism. The message he's attempting to bring, I agree with it. The manner in which it got brought, I hate. And so I felt I needed to put a statement out to just separate myself from some of the rhetoric, because I don't think it's a right time and place for some of the rhetoric that's getting put out there. And so I do think we have to be very careful as Panthers on what we're saying as opposed to what we're doing. And anytime a mic gets shoved in your face, don't mean that you got that's the time to speak. I can even go back to when we were dealing with Shaka and Kofi. It's like I don't remember if you was around for that.
No, I was on hiatus at that time.
Yeah, but this is a trip and a story I want to tell the viewers. So because we had Quanell Lex in our ranks at the time, and they know that oftentimes all you need to do is ask a Black Panther or a Panther or anybody that's representing some formation that they want intel on to just act like you the press and start asking specific questions you want to get answers to, instead of just trying to spy on them and just act like you the press. I had to go. We was out there with this was an armed maneuver. We was at in Huntsville, the penitentiary in Huntsville, trying to prevent Shaka Kofi from being executed that day. Well, as we was out doing our thing, I had to double back and go to the vehicles to get something out of the vehicle. Lo and behold, when I went back to the vehicles, I actually saw members of the FBI changing into press outfits, and it's a trip. So I got a chance to firsthand see, and I guess they wasn't, obviously it wasn't because we were around the corner somewhere else. I don't know what was going on. Maybe they was also tagging our vehicles and doing something else. But I got a chance to see some of them changing into press outfits so that they can basically come right up in our face and ask us certain types of questions that they want to have and get documented footage on our responses. So we have to be careful about how certain things can come back and be used against you. And all they're doing is just building up archives, building up information and documentation and evidence so that they can use it at a later time. And that's the biggest thing I would have to say about this. You have to be careful what you do and what you put out, especially from the standpoint of it being used against you, as well as now you having to explain the context in which something is being stated to the people when people do something stupid behind a tad bit of information without recognizing the full entirety of it. When you in the streets locally addressing situations, you are right there. So you can get a hold on your specific area to address it. But when you make certain statements, and in fact, when those statements get chopped up, because I think that's part of a good section of what we're dealing with, it can be misrepresented. And so other people will follow the advice because we're living in a time where people will watch a 15-second video and think that they're well educated on something, and they will run with that soundbite and form an entire narrative, an entire operation behind that, and go get their damn self killed or do the wrong thing because people are not doing a proper research and proper study and proper operation and organization as they should, because folks are now only getting a lot of their knowledge by watching small segment videos as opposed to doing in-depth study. And so we have to be aware of the fact that this is how a good percentage of the people are operating. And again, I can have a hold on that in my city, locally on the ground, doing what I do. But when I make certain statements out loud, even from the standpoint of trying to inspire others, if you are doing what we call creating an emotional high or creating a situation where people just get riled up through their emotions and go do something, but don't have the backing, the intellectual stability or know-how to that goes with it, it ends up doing more damage than good. And I just want to make sure that people recognize that.
Look here. This particular clip is actually very useful because it illustrates, at least in my mind, a very good illustration of the difference between a reformist and a revolutionary. A reformist wants to maintain his position. He don't want to see the system destroyed. He don't hate the system. He just hates his position in the system. A revolutionary hates the system and wants to see it change, and that's the difference. Do that, War, and I would request that you lead this in. War, I just want to let you know, bro. I just took a close in look while you was talking, and I must say I do not like what you're doing with your mustache and your goatee, bro. That's not a gangster look. I don't like that.
Oh yeah, I didn't look at that. What you got going on, War?
I don't know what y'all mean. I guess you're gonna edit this out because this ain't got a damn thing to do with anything. But I don't know what you mean.
It's all right. That's the humanity.
So you have not seen that beard and mustache thing you got going on.
I don't know what's wrong with my beard and mustache.
Okay. All right. Okay, here's the next video, y'all. Here's the last one. This is Chairman Fred Hampton. Let's check him out. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Fred, where does the Black Panther Party stand concerning the Weathermen, the SDS?
We stand way back from the SDS and the Weathermen. because we believe that the Weatherman action, there's two actions, there's RIM 2 and Weatherman. We think they call them both national action. We think that RIM 2 is national action, Weatherman is national reaction, you know. We think it is anarchistic, opportunistic, individualistic, it's chauvinistic, it's custoristic, and that's the bad part about it. It's custoristic in that its leaders take people into situations where the people can be massacred, and they call it revolution. And it's nothing but child's play, it's folly, and it's criminal because people can be hurt. We say that they're doing exactly what the pigs want them to do. When they take people down and just do nothing, play around, and the pigs are prepared for this, and they'll wipe all of those young people out. We think these people may be sincere, but they're misguided, they're muddleheads, and they're scatterbrains. The only way we can show them is to criticize them like we're doing right now, and then leave from here and go to the federal building and have a demonstration that's to educate, a demonstration that is disciplined and organized, you know. And that's what we're going to have to do, and let them see the examples.
Tell me why you feel the approach of the SDS weatherman is wrong.
I feel it is wrong, just as I said before.
No, don't tell me just you said before. That's why I asked you again. Just answer straight, just in case we use this part.
I feel that it's wrong.
Let me ask you again. Why do you feel that the approach of the SDS weatherman is the wrong approach?
I feel that it's wrong because it's pig action. You see, they're doing exactly what the pigs want them to do. They're leading people into a situation where it's an astronomical situation, too great for the people to deal with. It's a situation where you got a bunch of mechanical pigs with 357 Magnums and shotguns and mechanical mace and all that type of thing. And then they're talking about they're going to carry on a revolutionary struggle. That's not revolution, it's insanity, it's madness, it's nostalgia, and it's a massacre. That's what it's potential massacre, that's what it is. And we don't support that because we've said all power to the people. All the power is manifested in the people. We don't have any people whose lives we believe that should be thrown away.
Has the Weatherman SDS tried to get you to go on their side? Have you met with them, and what happened?
We met with the Weatherman faction of SDS several times. We've had ideological struggles, and we have ideological differences. So what we did was, we had the other faction of SDS that agreed with the Black Panther Party called for an alternate action, a well-disciplined action not to provoke pigs, an action not to talk about setting up confrontations with the pigs, because the people are not ready for confrontation. These confrontations that they have are premature. They're politically premature, and they're wrong because they commit people in a situation which they're not anywhere prepared for.
Well, why do you think the Weatherman SDS tried to link the Black Panther Party to its movement?
I don't know if it was actually the Weathermen of SDS. I'd have to say that it was the establishment press that is nothing but a tool of Warden Nixon's machine. We call him Warden Nixon because the whole world is a penitentiary, and he's just a warden of the whole world. And you see, these people are just an arm that he uses for fascist oppression, you know. And I think that these fascist news media might have did that.
Now, briefly, how would you sum up what the Weatherman SDS is trying to do and what you think of what they're trying to do?
I'd say that basically they believe that white people need to learn how to struggle. That they believe that these white workers need to learn how to struggle through confrontations. I'd have to say that basically I believe that this is incorrect. I believe that white workers have been struggling. They're some of the most violent people in the world. I believe that what they need is they need a redirection in their ideology and in their politics. They need to know who to struggle against. The workers need to start to begin to learn that their job is to struggle against the bosses. And until they do this, then struggle is incorrect. It's like no struggle at all. We say that if you don't struggle correctly, you shouldn't struggle. But you should struggle. We said dare to struggle and you dare to win, dare not to struggle, and you don't deserve to win. But we have to struggle properly.
What about the special approach of Weatherman, which seems to be violence?
Well, you see, I don't think it's really violence, you know what I mean? I think it's just a lot of folly, it's a lot of child's play. I think that to have violence, you've got to be able to cope with violence, you know what I mean? And that's what the Black Panther, the Black Panther Party, a lot of people say we're violent. We're a self-defense organization that believes that the people should be educated what's going on. Yes, we do defend our offices and we do defend our homes. This is a constitutional right. Everybody has, there's nothing funny about that. The only reason they get mad at the Black Panther Party when they do it is for the simple reason that we're political. And they don't want to admit this. There are a lot of young organizations around, but we are a political organization. We're an organization that understands that politics is nothing but war without bloodshed, and war is nothing but politics with bloodshed. That it's just like you stretch something, and it goes, you can stretch things, and they'll go into being another thing. If you stretch politics so long, it'll be war, and that's where we're at.
Well, then why do you feel it's so important for the Black Panther Party to disavow any real link with the Weathermen SDS?
I think it's important because there are a lot of people that watch the Black Panther Party for examples. They observe us and participate with us. And if we can be connected up with this, then it would be very unadvantageous to the people, and it would be very unadvantageous to the struggle, in that people that claim to be revolutionary would be going down roads that they think might be revolution, but in fact they're not roads to revolution. They'll be going east when their intentions are going west. And also it's important because Chairman Bobby Seale is in town, and he's being tried by this fascist judge Adolf Hitler Hoffman, and he's being tried without a lawyer. And we've got to bring all of the attention and focus on this trial that we possibly can, so that people can understand that these people are more capable of building gas chambers than Hitler ever was capable of building gas chambers. And we're going to have to get together. We're going to have some anti-gas chamber marches, and some anti-fascism marches, and some anti-Hitler Hoffman marches, and some anti-Mussolini Attorney General Mitchell marches, and some anti-Daley and some anti-Hammerhead marches. These are the things we're going to have to do. The people need to be educated. If they're educated, we can resist and we can stop this fascism.
Okay. All right. Thanks for giving us the second shot. Okay. Good. Okay.
We can't hear you.
I said, okay, that was Chairman Fred, and let me close this up. That was Chairman Fred. I don't think we need to talk about who that is. I think everybody should know who that is. And what's y'all thoughts? Tying into the other, because I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's similar. What's your, let's start with War. What's your thoughts on that, War?
Well, to me, the biggest part that resonates with me is realizing that even though we would like to feel like as a people we are ready, we're not. And so as far as especially a quote unquote armed revolution from that tape, we have to know that what the Weathermen was doing was going around. This is a white group that was going around bombing federal buildings and attempting to make a statement in regards to bringing down capitalism and imperialism by dealing with the aspects that represented capital, represented extortion from a financial standpoint. And so we didn't want the message that they were trying to deliver was in contradiction to what the Panthers were doing. But what happens is the Black Panther Party ends up getting blamed for what white radical and liberals tend to do, because they are attempting to borrow either some of the energy or some of the knowledge that the Black Panthers are doing. So, in other words, the influence of the Black Panthers can have a repercussion that is negative to the Black community. And so Fred Hampton wanted to make sure there was a separation in retrospect to someone who was inspired by the Black Panthers and went off and wanted to make their own brand of will attack the system, because that again will get linked right back to the Black Panthers. But nonetheless, they won't face the same levels of scrutiny, repercussion, or attack that the Black Panthers would. But yet the actions that they do will get blamed on the Black Panthers. And that's one thing he was addressing. And as far as it go in regards to just all out revolution from a armed struggle standpoint here within the United States, he's just making the reality that Black folks are not ready, and that the message of that should not be what gets emphasized or promoted to the general public, because you basically getting people set up for slaughter. And so to me, it kind of just feeds right into some of the same sensationalism that may be taking place today when people don't study history or lead with their passion in terms of what they wish would be the scenario, but ain't really the reality of what's happening. Because we damn sure can't sit up here and say we got bigger guns. That's, I mean, going back to the other video about having a semi-automatic shotgun and say, well, you got to carry bigger guns than them. Last I checked, any formation of Black Panthers that I know of don't have nowhere near $30 billion of infrastructural financial backing. In fact, I would even go on record, and I would like somebody to prove me wrong, that ain't a damn one of them got $1 million in a bank account, yet alone billions with extra zeros. So to say that we can carry bigger guns is the answer is foolish. And I think Fred is just kind of speaking on that. We don't have these resources, folks. We ain't got tanks. We ain't got bazookas. Most of us ain't even can't even come up with a drone that costs more than $200. Yet alone $20,000 infrastructural drones that I've seen here in Chula Vista through a drone pilot program that was actually started in the city that I live in, that is able to spot and things all the way down to the point to where let me say this, and I might be stumbling a little bit. But there's a drone pilot program that was started in Chula Vista, California, to where basically the drones are tied into 911 dispatch, and they have drones that go up in 4 sectors of the city, and at any time a 911 dispatch can come in, those drones can beam right down on the situation. So they don't need to get sending out helicopters anymore. They have a drone up in the air with a zoom lens camera so strong that oftentimes one situation that came about is where they had a guy at a 7-Eleven that was reaching in his pocket for a cell phone, and the drone operator called down to the police officer who was standing about 25 feet in front of the guy but wasn't able to tell what was going on. Mind you, the drone was able to tell that officer that he has a cell phone, don't shoot. So the drone was able to see that guy better than an officer standing near him. And this drone is so high up that you can't even hear the blades. And they have it tied to 911. These drones also have thermal vision. It's all kinds of technology going on out there, people. And for us to think that we can carry a shotgun and out muscle federal agents, that is just, that in itself is foolish. But again, I think it was just done out of sensationalism, out of the last just on the spot talking, and so we just got to be careful. Go ahead, I'll let y'all have some talk.
Well, you got anything on that one?
Nah. I mean, as usual, the chairman was on point with everything he said. I don't disagree at all. And the brother that was on giving the interview in the streets and whatnot. Again, I don't have an issue with him other than some of the tactical information, and he reminds me of me. You know how y'all a lot of times had to pull me back from running my mouth a little bit, saying the wrong thing and whatnot. And I think that just comes from experience and understanding and whatnot. So, I mean, I would like to have a conversation with the cat because apparently he's in there, he's out there and whatnot, and we may be able to help assist in guerrilla thinking is a thing. Guerrilla tactics are a thing, and just like any other education, when you're talking about getting schooled in guerrilla tactics and guerrilla mindsets and policies and politics and all of that, the first rule is know yourself, know your position, know where you're at, and that has to always be kept in the front of the mind. And so I think maybe perhaps that's where he may be lacking a little bit. But again, I get the bravado. I get the angst and the attitude and whatnot. I get all of that. I ain't knocking none of that. I would just hope that if not us, then somebody else could help curtail some of the conversation a little bit, because I wouldn't want to see them set up for anything, which would be very, very easy to do. It doesn't pose a threat to the government for us to say things or even be out in the streets with our rifles. It just like Huey and them, it poses the same opportunity to the government to do exactly what they did to the party. Somebody like Garvey back in the day, he could have come out and done some of that posturing and whatnot, simply because the organization, because of the sheer numbers, would at least pose an issue for the government. It would pose an issue. If not a threat, it would be something that they would have to sit back and, okay, we need to have, maybe we need to change this up a little bit. But in today's modern times, particularly considering just like Ward said, none of us got no $1 million in the bank. Don't no chapter, no organization, not even the nation. None of these cats have the numbers that somebody like Garvey had. So the sheer numbers of membership places us at a disadvantage. Before we even get to talk about the money, we don't have a membership to pose a threat. Not a cohesive membership in the sense like the way Garvey and them had it back in the day. We don't have that. So before we even get to talk about the money, talk about the number of people, the amount of community, which translates into community support, we don't have. So yeah, I mean, I think of course, like I said, couldn't argue with the chairman. Chairman knew what he was talking about. And it is extremely similar to today. Give a shit, like on that first clip, I don't care if white folks are asking us and saying we would like to have the party come out and want. Fuck you. We ain't got nothing to do with you. Now, and I guess that's going back to him. Matter of fact, it's your boy in the suit. Oh, pretty boy. This slick motherfucker talking about, what did he say? He said, we don't talk like that in the community. We don't do things like that in the community. Completely out of touch with what the community is feeling and what the community is going on. I would say the brother in the clip has a much better idea of what the grassroots are much more, from what my experience, in tune with what the brother was saying. So yeah, that's what it was. Cat said, this is not our fight. This is not our problem. We're sitting back on this one. We're not going to get involved. I don't understand how this dude in the suit is this uninformed. As much as I've seen him online talking that smack, it absolutely is our problem. If you've kept up with anything that's going on, they started out with Venezuelan gangs, moved quickly to the Haitians, moved quickly to Somalians, moved quickly, the what is it, TPS or TSP, whatever it is, that's been in some way protecting Haitians and whatnot, is set to expire next month. So a whole bunch of them are going to be kicked up out of here. Those are our people too, whether we acknowledge it or not. And beyond that, there are more and more black folk, regular ass, not Haitians, not so-called Africans like y'all want to separate us and whatnot. I'm talking about niggas from the hood that are being pulled over, that are being questioned and asked for their papers and IDs and all of that shit. These cats are going into high schools and are wrestling teenagers in high schools to the ground, dragging them out. Pregnant women getting slammed to the ground. This is absolutely our problem. The whole point is to flush the system. The whole point is to get rid of those who they have a problem with. And what Malcolm say, they have a problem, and their problem is us. So if you think this shit, if you're still dumb enough to think that this ain't our problem, because I remember it was a thing for a while, black folks were saying, this ain't our problem, these are foreigners, run. Tried to tell you 25 years ago, tried to tell you a few months ago, last year, tried to tell you this is absolutely our problem. All of these problems are our problem because shit rolls downhill. And this is some major shit that y'all gonna have to deal with.
True indeed. So what would be the proper response to this if we recognize that this is our problem? How would we possibly deal? What is the best way to deal with this? The brother with the bravado again. I think what y'all are getting from us is that in the back in the day in the 60s, Huey and Bobby and the team and the brothers, they hit the streets with the weapons. The weapons grabbed their attention. And like Ward just told y'all earlier in the beginning of the show, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense that came out of Oakland started in 66. The Mumford Act came out in 67. They got on top of that instantly. One of the critiques of the quote unquote original Panthers or the old school Panthers from the 60s, one of the critiques was that many of them, Huey included, said that they feel like they made a mistake by getting out carrying the weapons, because by doing it, they allowed themselves to be targeted, and that they was more of a threat when they started the free breakfast programs and the liberation schools and things like that. So while we identify with and understand the anger that's coming from the brother, because when you don't want to just sit around and talk, you want to get out there and you feel like I can make something happen. And many of the brothers come from a good place. But what would be the best way to address this? Because we understand that it's only a matter of time before any time any government is is trying out a new policy. They're gonna try it out on a oh they're gonna section off a part of the population and say, hey, this policy is targeting them, so that everybody that's not them can pretty much just sit back and say, man, that's bad what's happening to them. But it's only a matter of time before that policy is expressed to its full extent, kind of like the Patriot Act. Many people went along with it because they thought, oh, it's after the terrorists. No, there is no limitation of how this can be used. You have to be able to have greater foresight. So what should the Panthers be doing if this is our problem? What should the Panthers be doing in a situation like this? I know that's a healthy question, but I have to ask it because I know the people that are listening are thinking, well, if it ain't grabbing the guns and hitting the streets, what do we do?
Well, I would say, folks in the church like to say that God never changes. God is always the same. Stays this one thing all the time, every time. So for me, I guess the answer is my God, because the answer is what it's always been. And that's for us to begin to organize. We have to organize. None of this shit can be taken care of and addressed as a bunch of individuals. We have to start organizing ourselves, coming up with purposes, a plan, a direction, and then get into planning for action and developing action. I was talking to a sister the other day. She's Haitian, and I was trying to get across to her that y'all are next. Y'all are about to be. One of the things that we don't understand is that when you are fighting the motherfuckers that make the rules, it ain't no rules, because they'll just change the rules to suit whatever it is they want to do. So there ain't no freaking rules. But in her instance, they have this thing called, I think, Psych, you've mentioned similar in the past, is a susu. I think that's what it's called. Where basically it's a community bank. It's her and her family put in money for X number of months, and at the end of that time period, somebody, whoever it is, however they decide, gets that money. What I was trying to get across in that particular instance is, because this whole deportation thing is going down, if your family members start getting snatched up, it's going to be very, very expensive to attempt to address and mount any type of defense or an offense to address the situation. And so one of the pieces of the plan could very well be for those within the community to begin to pool that money, those resources, so that as the shit unfolds and develops, they're able to address it in some way, so that they have what options. What did Tupac say, Psych? You don't go to war until you get your money right. So if that's true, we can't never go to war because our money ain't never been right. And the way it's been going, it ain't going to get right. LeBron ain't going to come and help you when you get shipped to some foreign country where you don't speak the language and don't get a fucking phone call. You just gone. So we have to, at the very least, begin to organize, pool the resources, and begin to develop a mount of defense before we can even think about mounting any type of offense. So yes, if this answer is the same, praise God, as it has always been. Organize.
True indeed. I got one more video for y'all, and then I think we getting close to shutting down. I know I said one more while ago, but it was another one that I found that I like. And let's look at this real quick.
Oppose anybody on the count. I agree with everything my brother said about revolutionaryism. So let me ask you guys a few questions. Yeah. We're in the South. We're in the heart of the South right now. Everybody on the panel. Spirit and our emotions. I have to say this because I know our spirit and our emotions get stirred. I'm not against nobody on the panel. I'm with everybody on the panel. I'm not diametrically opposed to anybody on the panel. I agree with everything my brother said about revolutionaryism. So let me ask you guys a few questions. We're in the South. We're in the heart of the South right now. Who fishes? Who knows how to fish? Hands down. Who knows how to hunt? Less hands. Hands down. Who shoots on a regular basis, meaning once or twice weekly? Hands down. Now you see how many hands? Who farms or grows their own food right now? Hands down. You ain't ready to oppose nothing. You are as a part of this system as any white person gentrifying in this city. And you can't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because I've lived in this neighborhood long enough to know when 2 out of every 5 yards had a garden in the back. I'm old enough to know when the Muslim community was the strongest security force and their own food force in this community. Black people, I love you, and I love you enough to tell you, you ain't ready to revolt shit. You don't feed yourself. You don't hunt your own animals and slaughter them. You don't prepare your own meat. You don't own your own land. You don't have a seed growing in your window. So when you think about revolutionaryism and you think about fighting and dying in the street, you ain't shit if you can't feed your children. You ain't nothing if you can't teach your children to hunt. I've been hearing this revolutionary talk all my life. All my life, I've been seeing leaders get before me and tell me how much of a strong warrior. And just like the United States Army, just like the military, I've seen their words send black boys off to die in the street fighting and arguing with police. You have no win. He was innocent and he got 19 years. His mama couldn't afford the right lawyer. His dad didn't know a senator. You have no wins. How many of you practice a martial art today? Who practices a martial art today? How many boys are practicing a martial art in your community today? Today. That's what I'm saying. We not ready to fight. You say fight back, fight the police. The police are trained to shoot. They're trained in martial combat. We're not. What are we going to do? Now, I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying you can't train yourself. But what I'm saying is, if you're not training every week, if you're not shooting every week, if you're not knowing how to grow your own food, arguing with me and arguing with the police ain't going to do nothing. Because if we all leave right now, if we all leave right now and we got a speeding ticket, we ain't all going to agree not to pay it. You understand what I'm saying? I agree we still slaves. I'm telling you right now today, Malcolm said by any means necessary. By any means necessary. And we're talking about children. We're talking about young men. These boys aren't even intelligent enough yet not to know what girl not to like. They're not even intelligent enough yet not to know how to, I always should have a condom. They're not even intelligent enough yet to know not to argue with their teachers. Don't send these babies off to die because you didn't die when you was 21. Don't you send these babies off to die because you feel like you missed the 60s and the 70s. I want to see more black attorneys, more black law enforcement. I want to see more black people pooling their money to run their own candidates. I want to see more black police officers that are from the neighborhood, because I'm telling you, they tried to leave one time and they formed Liberia. Look at Liberia now. Look at what Haiti did. They revolted. Every European country punishes Haiti for revolting. So if you're not going to revolt tomorrow, if you're not going to do like Elijah said and take all the southern states, if you're not going to gentrify Alabama, stop trying to grow warriors to fight a fight you too scared to fight. You pay your speed tickets. You ain't not paying your tickets. You ain't telling kids how to bust out every car window. And then when they riot, you never there with them. When they riot, where's the church? Where are the teachers? Where are the institutions? So I'm just saying, you do what you want to. But as for me in my house, I'm going to raise a warrior that knows how to use his hands, knows how to use his mind, and loves the people with his heart. Your job is to survive the encounter. Survive the encounter. And when daddy gets there with a lawyer, when daddy makes sure you got a judge that looks like you, we'll deal with that other shit. But you survive the encounter, young man. Don't you die on the side of the goddamn street like a dog.
He basically just expressed what I've been talking about.
Yeah,
we ain't fucking ready. We can be emotional and again feel like we're ready, but the reality is you have to live this. You have to live this.
Yeah.
Before you can even really step out and have an opinion, because I think this goes back to what I was also talking about people having this platform now. One of the dangers of learning a little bit of information is that oftentimes what happens is people get inspired behind learning a little bit, and then they think that they know something, but they don't know that they don't know. And a person that don't know that they don't know something can be dangerous because they know just enough to speak on something, but know too little to know that they don't know a damn thing about what they think they speaking on. And I think that's where we find ourselves, to where now we got millions of people who are activated through social media platforms who don't know that they don't know. But because they get a lot of views and a lot of likes, to them that is validation that whatever they saying, they correct on. But really what we're seeing is a whole bunch of fools following a whole bunch of fools, liking a whole bunch of fools, because all of them don't know.
True indeed. True indeed. And I think that one of the major things that, because if you look at this, if you look at the video, the Killer Mike video, you see black people getting mad, some of them arguing, some of them getting up and walking out. What the man has said, we all know this. We've all marched through Jasper. We've all had our guns. We was all ready to die. We've all been there. So it ain't that we don't understand where the heart is coming from, but what Killer Mike is saying is right. He made a nice point. How many of you fish on the regular? I don't know how to fish. How many of you hunt your own animals? How many of you are farming? You know, it's a one-off. E can answer some of those questions, but E is not the average black person in America. Period. Point blank. Boy, you have your own stuff growing, but you're not the average black person in America. This is not the average thinking, and this is not what the man is saying is correct. We're willing to operate emotionally, but we're not willing to operate strategically. It's a difference between being on a diet and having a lifestyle. And what Killer Mike is expressing, even what Fred Hampton is stressing, is that being a revolutionary is about a lifestyle. It's not about feeling something in the moment and jumping out there. It's a lifestyle. It's a structure that already has to be set up. So if that structure is already set up, that community structure that E is always preaching about is already set up, then when members of our community decide to go out with their rifles, there is a structure standing behind them that defends them, that protects them, that supports them. That structure is that lifestyle, that revolutionary lifestyle, that culture that we always speaking about. But yeah, I don't think that Killer Mike said anything wrong. A lot of times we don't want to hear that because we want to believe we don't want to hear anybody telling us that we don't have the right to be emotional. When we the problem that I think that we've had is that we're too emotional.
It's that same idea we talked about, I think, before. That one of the difference between us and them is they organize in order to mobilize when they begin to emotionalize. We get into our emotions, we emote, and then we try to organize that emotion so that we can capitalize on it. And that's not how that shit works. You got to have shit in place so that when those emotions hit, and they do hit, it's just like being in a street fight. A cat that's just off the street versus someone who's trained in MMA. You know, that cat that's trained in MMA gets into a fight, he doesn't revert to his emotions. The emotions may well be there, but he just automatically reverts to the training. And that's the same shit. We revert to, oh, no training. We just have our emotions. So we the street fighter out there just throwing punches, while this MMA, these white folks just sit back and throw a few tactical punches, maybe a kick here or whatever, and drop the cat that they're fighting. And it's the same idea. We have to do the front end before we get ready, before we're prepared to deal with the back end. You know, and on the front end is the organizing. You know, and I know y'all mentioned Kwame Ture at some point, and that's all that cat was about, was organize. That's all I ever heard him talk about that's not all, but that's the primary focus that he held, was the idea of organizing the people. If you're not organized, give it up. Because that's what we don't recognize when this government moves into an area, when they move to take some type of action, they're able to do it because they've been organizing. You don't see the organizing on outside of the cameras or the streets or wherever the action is taking place, but that's what they've been doing. You know, cats that rise up in the NBA, you know, Iverson or LeBron or Jordan, is because they went and they trained how to dribble the ball every day. Did the basics, how you dribble the ball, so that when they got out there and it was game time, They didn't have to think about dribbling. It was just automatic. Their body went in to doing things they weren't even thinking about. That freed up their mind to be able to look at what was going on the court or the field or wherever they were and analyze what was going on, knowing they hand knew where that ball was going to be. They didn't have to think about trying to keep that ball close to them because their body was trained to keep it close to them. So it automatically did the work and freed up their mind to think about what was going on and execute the plays that they've been trained to do. And that's what we don't get. Again, going back to the organizers, shit that people don't want to do. We do not want to fucking organize. It's boring. This shit we saw back in the day. That was one of our biggest issues was people did not want to train on a goddamn thing. When I say train, I don't just mean go out and spar and go through a kata or you know whatever martial arts stuff. War. Oh, by the way, war. I still remember my 6 count. I was showing somebody the other day. But we don't want to do that back in because it's too much work because it's boring. But I'm not talking just about the physical. I'm talking about sitting down and shutting up and learning so that, again, in your mind, you don't have to think who is the enemy. You don't have to sit up here and try to process and figure out if that black cop is the enemy. And you already know because you've been trained. You understand and can identify right off the top, and it frees you up to be able to analyze what's going on in front of your face and automatically apply what it is you've trained on, whether it's a conversation or whether it's a fisticuffs, whatever it is. So again, that's the shit that we don't want to do, but it's the thing that exactly that we have to do in order for any of this shit to work. Them cats back in so-called slave times, they were able to make moves. Nat and them were able to make moves because they had already been trained that they was all slaves. They had already been trained on who the enemy is. They had already been trained. Toussaint and Dessalines and all them cats had already been trained. Their master trained them well. We are your enemy. We understood that. But we don't have that same training. We're too caught up in the emotions of what this world, I mean, think about it. They use our emotions for everything, whether it's buying something online, whether it's a commercial on TV, whether it's getting us hyped up about a fucking fixed football game. They're using our emotions to manipulate and to organize us in a way that they want us organized. And we have to recognize that. And check all of those things and put our time and interest in the part that's actually going to get us out of our situation. And that's the organizing of the masses of the people so that we can utilize our resources instead of having those resources utilized against us.
True indeed. True indeed. And out of respect, I'm going to play this Kwame Ture anyway, because why wouldn't I play the honored elder and the ancestor? Why wouldn't I play them? So let's look at this Kwame Ture video right quick, and then we'll be able to end the show on this last video. Y'all got that?
Yeah.
Becoming conscious is linked to mobilization and organization, something we mentioned last year.
Let me start this back over because y'all, the listening audience, need to hear that first part. He said, becoming conscious is linked to mobilization and organization.
Becoming conscious is linked to mobilization and organization, something we mentioned last year. We must make clear distinctions between mobilizers and organizers. To be an organizer, you must be a mobilizer. But being a mobilizer doesn't make you an organizer. Much confusion is to be found here. Malcolm X was a great mobilizer. He was a great organizer. Martin Luther King was a great mobilizer. He was not a great organizer. These facts can be easily seen from King and Malcolm. When Malcolm went to a place, he left a mosque. When King went to demonstrations, he broke down desegregation and he moved on. As a matter of fact, King was not concerned with organization to the point that even though he was the most popular Baptist preacher in America, without the shadow of a doubt, and probably beyond the shadow of a doubt the most loved, he could not become president of the National Baptist Convention. Yeah, so many of them. The National Baptist Convention. As a matter of fact, if my memory serves me correctly now, and I remember it was Muhammad Speaks that carried the article on the front page in 1964 when King tried to become president of the National Baptist Convention. There was so much confusion there that a minister was actually pushed off the stage and died in the struggle. Yeah. And of course, King lost. The man who won was a reactionary man by the name of Jackson. He never did nothing for the people, never cared about the people, just was a pork chop minister who used their money to put gas in his big Cadillac. But he was organized. But he was organized. We say that we must come to know the difference between mobilization and organization because the enemy will use mobilization to demobilize us. Mobilization is very easy. Very, very easy. Because since we're people who are instinctively ready to respond against acts of injustice, anytime there's one little act of injustice, we can blow it up and we'll find people who come and make some mass demonstration around it. Miss Sally lost her job. Let's rally. She'll get her job back. People will come and rally. So-and-so got kicked out of school because the teacher's unjust. The people will come and rally. They will come to rally at issues. And this is what mobilization does. It mobilizes people around issues. Those of us who are revolutionary are not concerned with issues. We're concerned with the system. The difference must be properly understood. The difference must be properly understood. Mobilization usually leads for reform action, not to revolutionary action. If we would look scientifically at the October 16th million and more march, we would see clearly that this was a mobilized event, not an organized event. We must know clearly the difference between mobilization and organization. One of the characteristics of mobilization is that it is temporary. Organization is permanent and eternal. Clear differences must be made because the unconscious can usually be captured easily around one-issue items, around mobilization items, but it's hard to catch them around organization. But these unconscious must be brought to organization. We must transform mobilization to organization. We say the enemy will come and use mobilization to demobilize us. Many brothers and sisters who've been to the million and more march will say to you, I was there. Well, what are you doing today, my sister? I was there. There weren't too many sisters out there, but you know, with a million brothers together, you know where I had to be. I was there. Yes. And then, of course, you find brothers, yeah, I was there. I helped you. What are you doing today, brother? If we're not careful, we allow mobilization to become events. The struggle is never an event. It's a process, a continual, eternal process.
Mm. Yeah, I had to play
Yeah.
that. And that was pretty good. All right, what y'all think?
Yeah, and that's one of the issues that we struggle with. You know, I like talking bad about us from back in the day when we messed up. But one of the issues, like when we went to Jasper, when he was talking about how Malcolm would go somewhere and he would leave a mosque in his place. That was one of the things that we aspired to when we went to Jasper, was to set up and develop a continuous community resistance to the oppression, but weren't able to because we were not organized enough ourselves to do that. And the biggest reason that we weren't organized enough to do that is because we did not have the level of consciousness that was necessary. Again, one of the primary components of any guerrilla, of any small group, and let's face it, that's what we're going to have to be. Whatever we do, wherever we're at, it's going to be a more of a guerrilla resistance, is that cats like Shay and them were conscious. They had a common consciousness amongst themselves that put them in a situation where they were cohesive enough to organize. You know, that's essentially what he's saying when he says consciousness. He's talking about being cohesive, because that's what consciousness does, is creates a cohesive situation amongst the people that are involved. Them cats that smuggled, broke Sada out of jail and got her down to Cuba. They were organized. How were they organized? They were organized because they were conscious of the oppressor, of the enemy, of the situation. They understood who it is they were, what they needed to do, and who they were up against. And that's something that we don't have. So again, back in the day, we had lofty aspirations and whatnot, but we didn't have the maturity and the understanding to do it in an effective way.
And I know War has traveled the country in the past, attempting to assist sisters and brothers in the development of various chapters around the country and whatnot. And in a lot of the struggles and whatnot that he had, the opposition or the obstacles that he faced was a consciousness of the people that he was attempting to reach, to organize. The masses of the people are not conscious, and that includes those who were in the party, attempting to be in the party, attempting to organize a chapter or whatnot. That includes us as well. That the vast majority of us are reacting. We're not conscious. We're not aware of what it is that's actually going on. We're dealing with going back to what the brother said about being what is it, issue aware. We're aware that somebody got shot, but we're not conscious of the fact of the system that created that situation, because it's always the system. It's always a system. When you hear system, think organization. It's an organ. It's organized. The system is organized. In order to function, it has to be organized. So when we talk about the system, we're talking about their organization. The only way to confront an organization is with another organization. You get rid of one system by developing an alternative system, and that system has to be based on the masses of people, those who are involved, being aware. The greater the level of awareness, the greater the effectiveness, the greater the organization becomes. You can compare and contrast that like he did with Malcolm and King. Those sisters and brothers that were behind King were aware of the issues. They were aware that they were black folks or Negroes getting beat up across the country or whatever issue was going on. Whereas Malcolm pushed an ideology that was founded on, again, coming from the Nation of Islam, knowing thyself, being conscious, knowing who you are, number one, and being able to see the broader picture, being able to see the system that affects you. If you don't realize that your hand is your hand and somebody can sit there and bang on your hand with a hammer, it's not till you realize that hammer is connected to you. Oh shit, that's my hand, and it's somebody that's doing something to it. But we don't realize that we are connected. So we think that somebody across the street getting banged on, well, that's their problem. You ever notice people don't start, cancer awareness drives and foundations and shit until what? Until their auntie gets cancer, till their mother passes away from cancer. Then we get involved because, oh shit, I realize that's my hand. That's the same idea as it is across the country. We're not really concerned too much with police brutality until it's our son getting shot down in the street or our people getting done wrong this way or that way. We're not conscious and aware that we are the same people facing the same system. And the advantage that they have on us is that organization based on consciousness and awareness.
Oh, indeed. Well,
I don't have nothing to add to that. Minister Information dropped it.